together at the mountaintop, champions of college football.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to a stormy-filled Tyler Bowen's world, and we're just all living in it. Edition of your opening drive with Coach and the Couch Potato, brought to you by the Barn Baseball and Softball Academy, and for the last time, Cornerstone Home Remodeling. As always, I am Jeremy the Couch Potato. Opposite side of the screen, we got Coach Slate. What is going on?
Oh, not much, man. Back to school tomorrow. Spring break is over. So yeah, we had to get the kiddos ready for school. So they're not happy, but back to the daily grind. Off-season workouts officially start for the new staff tomorrow. So the kids are excited. 6 a.m. workouts, and then we got some stuff going on after school as well. So some busy times coming up in the Slater household, man. How's everything with you?
Good. Crazy week. I ventured out of my comfort zone, I guess you would say, and sat up a table at a baseball card and memorabilia show yesterday.
Okay.
Wildly long day. Been a busy week on the memorabilia front, to say the least. Was fortunate enough to be able to get some fresh ink this week. Between a massive opportunity that came in the middle of the week. And then yesterday was that one we've talked about a couple of different times. It ended up being 21 guys.
Okay.
Lathan Ransom had to fly home for a family emergency. Got to Jack Sawyer, walked right by my table. He's a big dude.
Yeah, he's massive.
It takes a lot to make me feel small. And I don't know that I'd say he made me feel small, but he's a big dude.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, so obviously it was a player, so there's different parking, all over the place. I got to encounter Jack and Cody Simon both dealing with young kids, and talk about polite. Those two dudes, man, they're in the middle of an autograph signing, photo ops. That's a day that those guys are going to make big money. And they do a paid photo op. And I saw Cody and Jack both probably take 5 pictures in the 30 seconds that they were trying to get from building to building. And, they were all with little kids. And they didn't bat an eye. So, shout out to those guys.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, busy week. Not just for us. As we threw out in the intro, Tyler Bowen, man. We thought we were excited about Maxwell Riley, and we are. Maxwell's kind of becoming our guy. We really enjoy, learning about him, watching about him. But you have emphasized multiple times, the few times we've talked about class of 2026, that in your eyes there was a must-get in the state of Ohio, and that would be who?
Sam Greer.
And who'd we get?
Yeah, it had to happen, man. Sam Greer, I don't want to compare him to Paris Johnson by any means. I think that's a lofty expectation that I don't want to put on the kid. But, this is a guy who I felt had all the traits to be that elite left tackle that the Buckeyes had needed. And he's right here in our backyard, coming from a powerhouse program as in Akron-Hoban. And you don't get that often, right? You don't get those type of guys that are homegrown guys that you can just get in your backyard. Had he been healthy, had he hit the camp circuit like many of these elite prospects had, I think he'd be a consensus 5-star kid. I just think he's got that type of ability. And so when you have that freakish type of player in your backyard, you got to get him. There's no doubt about it. And so to see Tyler Bowen, to really recognize that in him as well, to recognize that in Maxwell Riley and Sam Greer right away and make them a priority, man, I just love that. And so to get Sam Greer, to see the way he committed, in the middle of spring practice, and to see, Coach Bowen's reaction, that just lets you know like how important he was to this class. And I just think that is huge. And if I'm a recruit in the state of Ohio, that's what I want to see. I want to see my guys, my position coaches react that way, right? I'm a homegrown kid, and I want to see that. And so that was awesome. And it was a must get. We've talked about the athleticism that we see from Sam Greer. Our guy Carson will probably put together a montage of his clips and some highlights he can do it all. And so this was a must get. And now it allows you to really go swing for the fences. You know, you've got Maxwell Riley. We'll talk about Tucker Smith here in a second. You've got Sam Greer. You've got a great foundation for this offensive line class that could probably get to 5 or 6. So now you can really go swing for the fences for, you know, these other big name, the Ojos, the other big name left tackles, right tackles, whatever you want in this class. And so Sam Greer must get, man, and I'm glad we got him in the fold.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people. There's a guy that I'm friends with on Facebook. I've gotten to know him through music. You know, huge Buckeye fan. He's an alum. And when Sam Greer committed, he's like, "Wow, this kid's a 4-star. When are we going to get somebody elite?" And all I put on there was watch the tape.
Yeah.
You know, problem being, what a lot of folks don't realize, there is no tape from freshman and sophomore year.
Yeah.
Because he was hurt.
Yeah.
So, you know, okay, we got junior film. But if you want to watch tape, watch Sam Greer play basketball.
Yeah.
You know, we all watched the DeJuan Jones, big Thanos, you know, throwing dunks down, and we were all wowed. Okay, cool. I watched Sam Greer drive all the way to the hole from the 3-point line. Like, that's not hard to, or that's not easy to do at the level that Hoban plays.
Yeah, and I believe Hoban won a state championship in his freshman or sophomore year in basketball, and he was one of the main reasons why that happened. He's an absolute force on the basketball court, and the footwork, the natural athleticism, those are things you just can't coach. And I think he just has all the elite traits that you want to be a very, very good left tackle. I'm not saying he's going to see the field, you know, very early in his career, but he's got that type of potential, man. He's got if he has a big senior year, if he enrolls early, comes in the spring, like those are real possibilities that he could see the field early. Obviously, there's a lot of work that he still needs to do. He's got to get stronger, different things like that. But he's got all the tools, man. And this was a guy that was a must get. And now you can go swing for the fences, man. So I think Tyler Bowen's done a great job of laying a great foundation, you know, right here in the state of Ohio to this offensive line group for 26.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, just it's so vital, as we've always said, to get the Ohio kids. But again, offensive line is the hardest position to come in.
Oh yeah.
I think it's even harder than quarterback to come in as a freshman and play offensive line, because you have to be physically ready. You can have the mental side of life down, but as a 17 or 18-year-old kid, you know, there's a chance you're going against 22-year-old guys. That's a big difference.
It's a big difference.
So I just hope everybody keeps that in mind, you know, as we see these O-line recruits come. So yeah, that was on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, this one kind of came out of nowhere, and it also came quick. Tucker Smith out of Arizona, number 8 ranked player in the state of Arizona, number 45 ranked interior offensive lineman nationally, 6'5", 280. He has played basically every spot on the line.
Yeah.
A lot of Big 10 and Big 12 offers. Definitely a late bloomer, because the bulk of those offers have all came recently. But I feel like he's got a little bit of talent. Not a little bit of talent, but he's got a little bit of ways to go. He's definitely raw.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's a very talented kid, man. I think he's a very position versatile. I think he's played everywhere across the offensive line. He's a very athletic kid. I think that he's got a mean streak. He's shown a lot of good things. I think this is a guy that you can get here. He can play in multiple positions. I think this is a guy who's more of a center guard type that you can really mold into that position. What you can't coach is his mean streak and the violence that he plays with. And so these are the type of guys that you can do once you've laid the foundation with the Max Riley, with the Sam Greer. These are the Sam Greer. Sorry, these are the type of guys that you can bring in. I'm hoping that, you know, Mason Wilhelm is another guy that we can add to this class as well. I think these are the road graders, the junkyard dogs, as our guy Jay Book likes to say. You know, these are the guys that I love getting, these just interior, nasty, you know, really wanting to get into the foxhole type of guys on the interior. And so this is that type of guy. And if you're willing to accept his commitment right now, that lets me know that Tyler Bowen views him as that. And so, hey, if Tyler Bowen identified this guy as somebody that we're going to take right now, then hey, let's do it. And I think this guy, is excited to be in this class and jumped on the opportunity. He's got some ties to Ohio, and he said, I want to be a Buckeye. And now we've got a great foundation with 3 guys already, and so you're looking at adding two or three more. And so Tucker Smith jumped on that opportunity, man. So hey, again, Tyler Bowen doing his thing, laying a great foundation.
So this is something pretty interesting, kind of freaky. Slate and I talk about topics we're going to talk about, but we don't talk. He has no idea what I'm going to say about Tucker Smith when we come on. And in my notes, I have written down mean streak. Like, that's the first thing that jumps out to me. This kid is always looking to hit somebody, and he has no issue going to the second and third level and watching him finish blocks. I know we talked about that with Maxwell Riley a lot too. Yep. There's one play on his highlight film where he drives the kid probably 15 yards, and the play was over after 5. I mean, he looks to play with bad intentions.
Yeah. Well, you think about what Coach Day has been emphasizing this spring with the offensive line, right? Position versatility.
Right.
Okay. What we saw with Donovan Jackson with the roster limitations now with 105 guys, this is the type of guy that we're going to have to be able to recruit. People that can play multiple spots across the offensive line. Yes, you're going to go get your Sam Greers. You're going to go get your Ethan Onianwas, right? Your Phillip Daniels, those guys who are true tackles. But you need guys who can play multiple spots, who can play center, who can play guard, who can do a lot of different things. And I think you got 2 guys right now in this class, of Maxwell Riley and Tucker Smith, who can play, if in a pinch, can play legitimately all 5 positions across the offensive line. And so that is going to become the new normal for the Buckeyes up front. And I'm all for it, man. And I think the next 2 or 3 guys that we get are going to be those same type of players that can play, every spot across the offensive line. And I think that's huge. I think that's important to get. And so I'm glad we're identifying these guys and casting that wide net, and we're going out and getting them.
Yeah, Bowen has definitely cast a wide net.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see who pops next for 26. There was some scuttlebutt out midweek that we were going to get a skill guy, but that has not happened. We'll see. But, not to bore because like you talk about, okay, this kid visited, he had a good time. That's kind of boring because they're going to say they had a great time at every visit. Ohio State has made some definite inroads this week with a lot of big time recruits. The biggest one that jumps out to me right off the rip is Savion. I think it's going to be a 2 running back class again. We'll see. And obviously when that comes, we will discuss it. We are headed into the back half of spring practice, I guess you would say. Still headed to the spring game. So we wanted to kind of throw out and bounce some questions off of each other as far as what do we think the clouds hanging over this team are. My first one is for you.
Mm-hmm.
And we can talk about it in general because I think it's a huge deal. What we saw Sonny Styles do the back half of last year was what we thought we were getting with Sonny Styles. We discussed it until we were blue in the face about, multiple positions within that window of time. And he's still young.
Yeah.
Will Sonny Styles continue to grow is one of my questions, both on the field and as a leader.
I think, gosh, Sonny Styles is one of those guys who I keep having to remind myself. I don't even know if he's 21 yet. I feel like he's still so young.
Right.
Under Matt Patricia, I feel like, and I'm not saying Matt Patricia is just this guru of a coach, but I just feel like with the Patriots and learning under Bill Belichick, you just learn how to maximize the talent that you have. And I get, and trust me, I understand when he was with the Lions, it didn't work out. But I want people to think about when he was with the Patriots. What did he have? He He had guys who had a winning culture, who understood what it took to win, and they were bought into that winning culture. Well, what is Ohio State, right? Ohio State is that type of culture. He's not rebuilding. He's not coming in and trying to change a culture. He is coming into a place that already has a culture established. So he just has to develop guys, right? So that is what he is going to be asked to do. That's his strength. And so I think you're going to see the best version of Sonny Styles, because I think we're going to be able to put him in different spots to maximize his athleticism. And so I'm excited to see the creativity that we have with him. I think you're going to see him blitz more. I think you're going to see him rush more off the edge. I think you're going to see him, there were some things, I'll just say, that I saw at spring practice that I think could be interesting that we may see during the season. I don't want to put it out there because that's just not my place. Those are things that they were trying to run in practice, but I just feel like there are some things that we can do that utilize his athleticism, as well as some other athletes that we're going to have on the defensive side of the ball as well. And so I just think Matt Patricia is going to be able to get really creative with him and Arvell Reese and CJ Hicks and many other guys. And it's just going to be a very fun thing to tinker with all season long. And so I think he's going to continue to grow and get better. I wouldn't be shocked if he's wearing the Black O jersey. Man, I'm just excited for him, and him and his brother on the same field at the same time. Like, I just think that's so cool, man. Like, they're both seniors, which is weird, but I know Lorenzo's in his 5th year and, Sonny's in his 4th year, but man, it's just, it's going to be fun to see the continued growth. And I think he's going to be the Black O recipient, and I think it's going to be a big year for him. And I think Coach Patricia is going to maximize that potential.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually had a mini helmet signed by both of them yesterday. I was like, I got to do them both on one.
Yeah.
Sonny will not be 21 until November 20th.
Oh,
or 24th. 24th, I'm sorry. So just to answer your question there.
Jeez, man.
The other question, the big question I jotted down kind of goes, you hit on Matt Patricia. And we've all seen the clips of Matt Patricia and CJ Hicks.
Mm-hmm.
I understand we're still in the honeymoon phase with Matt Patricia, and we haven't played a game yet. But to see a kid like CJ Hicks, who has lived under a microscope, and let's just be honest, has not performed to what we thought we were getting with CJ Hicks, to see the way him and Patricia are bonding, and him going down to edge, which is a position of need, does the D-line depth continue to develop? I know we've pounded this topic every time we've talked since the offseason, but it's a massive question.
Yeah, that was actually one of my questions I was going to have for you. And so we can kind of elaborate on this a little bit more. That was one of the things that I really, at spring practice, I really tried to pay attention to see that development. And I can tell you, CJ's working. He is working. He's studying. He's staying after practice. Him, Logan George, our guy Nate, we're after practice doing some things. And so, like, you could tell that he really wants it. He's not afraid to ask questions. He's really working with Coach Johnson, Coach Patricia. And so you could see that he's really after it. I think there are some things he's obviously going to have to work on. He's very new to the position, but I think he's going to add some really good depth for us. I think he's going to be a sub-package guy to start the season. I don't know if he'll be an every down guy yet, but I would not underestimate how he can play against the run. I mean, he's 240 plus pounds. He's not a little guy. Like, he is a very stout individual. Like, I want to make that very clear. He is not a small individual. So like, him and Logan George are not that different in size. And so, like, he can play out there against the run. He's just got to continue to work on those skills, hone in on those skills to be an every down guy. But I definitely think he'll be a sub package guy. My biggest thing, and then I guess this would be the question, what freshmen in that defensive line group are going to step up for us? Because that's going to be a huge key. Like, I do think we're going to have to go into the portal, but I also think we're going to have to rely on some of these freshmen well, because you don't want them to go away. So what freshmen are going to step up in that unit for us? I think I think we both think, Jarquez Carter is one of them at the defensive tackle group. But, other than him, across the entire defensive line, who's going to step up for us on that defensive line?
I really think that and it's going to be a necessity thing too, is Zion Grady. I think that, this kid comes in from the South, which they're built different down there. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know that, again, he's going to be ready to play per se, but I think he's going to have to get ready. That he doesn't have a choice.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I think that's the big one for me, because, as you said, we both already assume that Jarquez Carter is not only going to be ready to play, because this kid looks like a grown man.
Dude.
But
he looks the part.
I kind of get the vibe with him. Like, I feel like he may be a more athletic Caden McDonald.
Yeah.
And Caden McDonald is a monster. But we'll see. I think it's got to be Zion though.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Zion looks the part. Like, he is not a small guy. Like, he is a lot bigger than I thought he was. I think he is going to definitely be in that rotation. I think Logan George too. I don't want to forget about him. I think Logan George is, I know he's not a freshman, but I think Logan George is a very stout run defender. Had a chance to meet him after practice. And I think he's adjusting very well. We heard Coach Johnson talking about him in his press conference the other day. He's adjusting very well. And so I think he's a guy, he's going to really add some good depth for us. But yeah, that defensive line group, it'll be interesting, man. I do think they're going to add a D tackle on the portal. But I also think, guys like Jarquez Carter, Maxwell Roy, some of these other big guys that they added in the middle, I think they're going to have to provide some good depth for us.
I will be also interested to see. I don't think frame-wise coming out of high school he was ready, but if you could get like 15 pounds on Epi Santielli, I think, his motion and movements watching him play are really, really good. But at 220, you need some weight. So if he can embrace that side of it, I think he could definitely be a sleeper.
Yeah. Epi's he's a very natural pass rusher.
Yeah, 100%. I'm also very interested to see how we use Max Clare. Again, we've talked about Max Clare and what he brings, but we've never, and I guess I don't want to say never, because we've had some really good tight ends in the past, but like Max Clare is the first Ohio State tight end, especially since tight ends became a glorified receiver in a way, out of that Gronk mold, as far as the position versatility. Yes, he can block, but like Gronk was a receiver. He was just a big-bodied mismatch waiting to happen, and that's Max Clare.
Yeah, absolutely. There were some plays in spring practice that, Max Clare really jumps out at you. You can tell that they want to make sure that they're making a very good effort to get him the ball, but they're making sure that they're making a very good effort to also make him a complete tight end. They're really working on him with his blocking. They're not shying away from that, but you can tell that they're really, Will Kazmarek, Bennett Christian, Jelani, like those are their blocking guys. And Max Clare is their receiving threat, and he runs different. He can get after it. He's not a slow guy. He's a lot bigger than I thought he was. He's a really good sized kid. He made some plays in the passing game. I think he had 3 or 4 catches in the time that I was at practice, and it was some really good routes that he ran. So he's definitely a vertical threat. He can do some things over the middle of the field. He had a couple catches from Julian and a couple catches from just forgot his name, Lincoln, as well. And so, I think they're going to make a really good effort to get him the ball. I think this is going to be our first tight end that, has 40 plus catches in a season in a while. And it's good that we're going to have him for a couple years. And so I'm excited for him, man. I think this is a guy that we're really going to have to get involved. I do think, I had a wide receiver 4 question down. I do think he's going to be that because I just think he's too good. I think he's not going to be a guy that you can keep only getting, 20 targets or 20 catches in a season. I think this is a guy that you're really going to have to make sure you're trying to get the football because he's got that type of talent.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly could see a scenario where he is, I don't think he can get to second in total yards receiving, but he could definitely be third.
Yeah.
And I think touchdown wise, he may be your second touchdown guy.
Yeah.
I am just, we are loaded with big bodied dudes as pass catchers, and we haven't had that many in a long time. I'm excited to see, how that transitions to the field.
Yeah. Yeah, I am too, man. I think, guys like Quincy Porter and some of these other big bodies that we've got in the receiving core, man, it's it's not a normal group of pass catchers that we've had. And so I think we've got some guys in the red zone that could create some havoc.
100%. Obviously I wrote down the quarterback question, but I think that's pretty much a given.
Yeah.
So those are my big ones, though. I mean, I think offensive line, we're fine. You might add maybe a depth piece. Running back, we're loaded. That room will be interesting to see how it shakes out, though, pecking order wise. Tight ends obviously are loaded. We know we've got linebackers. The young linebackers are going to be really good. I don't think there's any question there. We went into depth about BIA last week. Yep. And Miles Lockhart lost his black stripe this week, so that's another piece to the puzzle.
Yep. Yeah, I'm excited about that one. I think Miles Lockhart is a forgotten guy, very talented kid from the West Coast, from Arizona. I think he's got potential. He's definitely a true slot guy. One of the questions, and I think one of the good battles I think that we're going to see, I guess it's not a question, but that wide receiver 4 spot, I think we've got a lot of guys, man, that are going to be able to go out there and compete. Obviously I think the top 3 guys, Jeremiah, Carnell, and Brandon Ennis, I think you're going to have Bryson Rogers, obviously, in that mix. I think you're going to have Mylan Graham in that mix. I think you're going to have Quincy Porter in that mix. And he should be, he is a developed individual, man. I was shocked. I had to do a double take at the roster to make sure that was a freshman. He's a good looking kid. Like he can flat out play. Another guy that really shocked me, man, seeing him in person was Desi Jones, the freshman slot receiver from New Jersey. He is a route runner, like a true slot receiver. Another kid to keep an eye on. I know Mylan Graham is a guy that everybody's excited about. I think he's got potential, but there's some good competition around him. So I don't want everybody to anoint him yet. I think he's got a little bit of ways to go, but man, he can flat out go up and get it. He's got some playmaking ability. And so I think that wide receiver 4 spot, there's going to be some good competition. I think there's going to be a good rotation too. I think you're going to have to rotate guys. Quincy Porter is going to be hard to keep off the field. It's going to be hard to keep him off the field. And so it's going to be hard to keep Bryson Rogers off the field. Brandon Ennis is going to have to play a ton. And so how are we going to keep those guys on the field? And so I think there's going to have to be a good rotation. I think they've been doing a really good job in practice. Coach Jordan really rotating through those guys while Hartline's calling the plays. And so that wide receiver 4 spot is going to be a good competition the rest of the spring.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting. Because, I mean, obviously you can't just roll out 5 wide every time. So I don't know what the right answer is, but I mean, I've heard multiple guys on the beat, talk about, Brandon Ennis has not got wide receiver 3 in the bag like we all think. Yeah. There's that much competition.
Yeah.
Iron sharpens iron, though.
Absolutely.
So yeah, any other things hanging out there on spring ball before we go into a couple other things?
That's not really a question or anything, but the Australian punter, what is his name? Nick McCarty. He is massive. Oh my gosh. That was something I meant to talk about last week. He is a huge human being. I didn't realize he was that big. He might be the biggest guy on the team. I mean, he is a massive individual. I was like,
Okay.
okay. I was like, he's pushing 6'8". Like he is a massive human being. Couldn't believe it. I was mind blown when I saw him.
I'm excited to see, hopefully he continues to grow and get used to the game. I just want to see the dude kick a ball, man.
That's good.
Like, I want to see us punt from like our own 20 and it'd be a touchback. Like,
Oh my
I feel
gosh.
like it's there. Like,
He is
um,
huge.
but yeah, he's got to, adapt. I mean, being that tall and doing the whole Australian punting style has to be awkward.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it works. So, I
Yep.
mean, Cameron Johnston's still in the league.
Yep.
One real quick note before we dive into some pro day stuff, because that was also this week. Busy
Yeah.
week at the Woody. The UFL started this week for Buckeyes. Rashad Berry is playing in San Antonio. Your guy Steel Chambers and Antoine Jackson both in Memphis. And then the comeback story is on. Damon Arnett's playing in Houston. I've made no qualms that, I am still a Damon Arnett guy. I hope that this is the first step to turning things around. I don't care if the dude ever gets back to the NFL. I just hope he gets his life back on track.
Yeah. I love. I can't sit here and say that I watch the UFL a ton. If it's on, I'll pay attention to it, a little bit, but I don't watch it very closely. I don't pay attention to the signings or different things like
Right.
that. But anytime Buckeyes are playing, I'll watch. But the one thing I do love about it, man, I do think there is a place for a spring football league. I really do.
Absolutely.
I really do think there's a place for a spring professional football league. Obviously, college football is the minor leagues for the NFL. But I do think there is a place for spring football leagues. And I do think that there is a place for guys like Damon Arnett to show that they can be professionals again. And I think Damon Arnett was a first-round talent for a reason. And we know he was an absolute dog for us at Ohio State. And we know what he can do. He had some mental health things. We know some of the things he had to overcome. We know some of the things he battled when he was in the NFL. The biggest thing is showing that he can be a professional again. When you go from the NFL, you go from being a first round pick and now you're playing in the UFL, like you've hit rock bottom and now you're trying to battle back. And so the biggest thing that these NFL scouts and NFL talent evaluators are going to want to see is, can he be a professional again? And so I hope he finds success, man, because he does have the ability. That's never going to be the question with him. It's all going to be up here. That's all going to be up here. Can he show that he can be a professional again? I think he's still only like 26 or 27 years old. I don't think he's that old. And so there's still a lot of football ahead of him. Hopefully a year or two in the UFL, he's able to get, at least another contract in the NFL and set himself up for his future. I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for all those guys, man, to get an opportunity back in the NFL. But listen, I will always root for guys who want to continue to play professionally, even if it's overseas, whatever. Listen, if you can play, go play, right?
Exactly.
If you have the physical ability to go play for as long as you can, man. Don't listen to anybody else. People say, well, why are you still doing it? Listen, football, if you can play, go play, have fun doing it. It's the only time in your life you're going to be able to do it. And if somebody's willing to pay you $50,000+ to go play professional football, then by all means, man, go do it. So I love seeing these guys out there living out their dreams.
Yeah, just a couple of non-Buckeye names that are in the UFL. This is not a rundown of the entire league by any means. Matt Corral from Ole Miss. AJ McCarron.
Oh,
Rocky
okay.
Lombardi.
All right.
Kevin Hogan that played at Stanford.
Yeah.
Kellen Mond. Max Duggan. So I mean, there's finally decent quarterback play. Rodrigo Blankenship, the kicker from Georgia, the Specs.
There we go.
Marquette King. Denzel Mims, Greg Ward Jr.,
Okay.
and former Cleveland Brown Greedy Williams.
Okay.
So, I mean,
There we go,
I
man.
feel like the product is at least better than a lot of these spring leagues have been. I did not watch a game this weekend, but I'm like you. I'll watch it if it's on and nothing else is on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so shout out to those guys. And moving on to the big leagues, I guess you would say. We're about a month away from draft day. So it's about time to watch the movie a couple times. And again, we've said this before, but anytime the movie Draft Day comes out, shout out to our guy Nate Oliver, who was an extra in the movie.
Yeah.
So obviously the guy who had the most to gain going into Pro Day did it. I mean, after an interesting combine, we'll say, Will Howard goes 65 of 67, and the 2 incompletions were both on the receiver's hands.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, NFL scouts are paid a lot of money to talent evaluate, like to evaluate the talent of these guys. He fluctuates from a 2nd round pick to a 5th round pick. Like, I don't know what they see, but I do know one thing: he's a leader. He is a leader, and whatever NFL franchise decides to draft him, do I think he's a franchise quarterback? I personally think he has the potential to be a franchise quarterback. Does he have flaws in his game? Absolutely. But I think he has that type of potential to be a franchise quarterback. I look and I see what Bo Nix and some of these other quarterbacks who were taken in the 2nd round, or Bo Nix ended up being a 1st round pick. But I look and see these guys, like, these guys have talent, but I think Will Howard is on that level. So listen, I'm glad he went out and did his thing. I think he's got the potential to be a really good quarterback. He's just got to fall into the right system. We see Brock Purdy and guys like that find success. Jordan Love find success. Like, I think he can do that same type of stuff. And so it just takes one team to fall in love with you, man. And so hopefully that one team is a good team. I could see the Steelers falling in love with him. Big body guy. I could see
little mobility.
Like yeah. And so I was glad he had a good day, man. I was glad he had a good day. I was glad to see our guy G. Scott have a good day.
He's on my list. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Ran a 4.6. I think he'll get an opportunity in the later rounds or as an undrafted free agent. Sneaky athleticism. I think he'll make a roster. I think he could be a special teamer all day long, and I think he'll continue to develop as a blocker and do some different things at tight end. And so Pro Day, man, it's always fun. I just have so much respect for these athletes, man, because so much goes into that one day.
Yes.
And like the 4 or 5 little workouts that you do and all the little tiny details into your 40-yard dash, just so you can go run a 4.43 instead of a 4.48. You know what I mean? Like, all these little tiny nuances. Our guy Bryson Lawrence, I remember when he was getting ready for his pro days and I'm training with him, and hey, can you video my start? Like, I want to make sure that I'm not, taking this step here, because that could be a 1/10 of a second here. And it's like, dude, like, the starts look the exact same. He's like, nah, man, do you see how my hand was right here? And I don't want that, man. Then my elbow was this way. And it's like, dude, just shut up.
That is straight Bryson speak, though. Yeah. That, obviously Bryson does, phase 6 training, and that's the stuff he emphasizes. Their case in point, okay, let's look at Julian Fleming, who ran 4.7.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of thing. But so to pivot back to Bryson, though, because this is how detail oriented Bryson is as far as technique goes. I watched Bryson play like Mario Olympics on the Wii one night, and straight form. I mean, he was like doing it to a T because of muscle memory. I mean, that was just, I thought the Wii was going to explode. He was moving so fast. But he's not wrong. And obviously that's why he's as successful as he is, with training athletes.
Yeah.
Because the 40 is all technique.
Yeah.
It's no different than pitching.
Yep.
Mechanics pitching, technique running. Speaking of 40s, though, not my guess for fastest 40 of the day. Jordan Hancock.
Yeah.
4.42 and a 41.5-inch vert.
Yeah.
My man just made himself a little bit of money.
Made himself some money, man. Listen, you know how I feel about Jordan Hancock.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, underrated. He came in as a big-time recruit, and if it weren't for hamstring problems, I don't know if he would have been around for his senior season.
Right.
You know what I mean? And, he sacrificed a little bit, moved down to the slot. But had he been able to stay healthy, I don't think Davidson, I don't think IGB comes to Ohio State. You know what I mean? Like, I think he would have been a true outside corner. I think Jordan Hancock has that potential to be an outside, inside type of guy.
Yep.
I think he could be a very good nickel at the next level. He showed that position versatility. I think some NFL franchise is going to get an absolute stud. If he can stay healthy, he cut off the locks. Like, he's all about business, man. And I'm just excited for him. I was glad to see he ran that 4.42. I think some NFL franchise is going to get a really good player. He's got all the ability in the world. I'd love to see him in Cleveland, because we need a nickel in the worst way. And so I would love to see him in Cleveland.
I'm at the point I've decided I don't wish anybody that I like to go to Cleveland. The fact that they went and watched Cam Ward and hung out with him instead of going to Ohio State's pro day, unless you move up to 1, you're not getting Cam Ward.
Yeah.
And newsflash, I still don't think he's worth moving up to 1 for. Speaking of that, we might have to get our guy Jake on and do some draft talk here coming up. Because I am very interested to hear what he has to say. Because obviously, yes, I'm still a Browns fan. You can't just break up with them, no matter how much they break your heart. But it's going to be interesting because if they trade up at 2-1 to take Cam Ward, that might be the straw that makes me move out the house with them. But another guy who, for whatever ungodly reason, was under a microscope, and you had people basically saying he's okay, is Emeka Egbuka.
Yeah,
Todd McShay, I guess, kind of gave him a compliment. He's got the highest floor of any receiver, but his ceiling's not that high. Man, come on, Todd. That's why you're not on TV anymore.
Listen, I don't understand that. I think Emeka is a 90+ catch guy a season, 1,100 yard, guy a season, 10+ touchdowns a season, and it's just does all the dirty work type of receiver for you every single year. I don't think he's going to be the flashiest guy, but he's going to be the most consistent guy year in and year out. He's going to be the receiver's best friend. He can line up inside. He can line up outside. He's going to route you up. I think he goes to a winner because, he'll be a late first round draft pick, in my opinion. I think he goes to somewhere like Kansas City and he becomes an all-world player. I think he's that type of guy. I think it's a very lazy comparison, but it's a very good comparison to Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think he's that type of guy. And I think Emeka, he went out and ran 4.45 or something like that. He's bigger.
4.12 shuttle.
Yeah. And he's taller than you think he is. I think he's legitimately 6'1". But in the slot, man, he could just do so many different things, and he's not afraid of contact. He's not afraid to block. He is a throwback player, man. And so I think NFL teams, screw what the scouts say. I think NFL coaches want that type of guy. Mike Vrabel wants that type of guy.
Yeah.
I guarantee you if Vrabel can draft a receiver like him, he's taking him. These are NFL coaches want Emeka Egbuka on their roster. And so Todd McShay can, say whatever he wants. NFL coaches want that type of guy. If Mike Tomlin has a chance to draft him, regardless if he has DK Metcalf and Pickens, if he can draft Emeka Egbuka, he's taking Emeka Egbuka.
Oh, yeah.
Those are the type of guys that you want in your locker room. And so he's going to go somewhere and he's going to have a 10 to 12 year NFL career, 10,000 yards receiving, and he'll be just fine.
I mean, Mike Tomlin can draft him, but at this point, you're still gonna have Mason Rudolph throwing him the football, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
But
true. That's true.
Couple dudes, well, one guy especially who 5 months removed from ACL surgery was actually doing modified mobility drills. Jimmy Simmons, like this dude's going in the first round.
Yeah.
And then to put up 34 reps on the bench.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the most of anybody though.
Yeah.
A guy who was probably one of those fringe get drafted guys, but I think he probably will. Somebody will take a flyer. Ty Hamilton pops out 35 reps.
Yeah. Oh, I think Ty Hamilton will get drafted. I think he will. He just consistent player. I really think somebody will take a chance on him in the 5th, 6th, 7th round, and he'll stick around the league for a while. I think he's that type of player. He'll do what you ask him to do, and he's got the arms of a Greek god, and he'll go out there and do his thing. And yeah, those days of bench pressing all that weight, those days are over for me. It's just no point anymore. I can still throw some weight around, but I'm not throwing around 225, 35 times anymore. That's I value my chest too much. I might tear a pec. So those days are over.
My CrossFit insiders tell me though, when it comes comp time, and if you know that the map or the course is going to be contingent on needing somebody to throw some weight, Coach Slade is the number 1 draft pick out the gym. That's the word on the street.
Oh man.
Minus odds. It's like minus 1,000 that you're going to be the guy.
If there's some weight that needs to be thrown around, I'll jump in. You can tag me in. I'll throw some weight around.
I mean, we would hate for our guy Tyler to hurt himself. I mean, he's getting old, so injury proneness is real. Those were kind of things that jumped out to me at Pro Day, though.
Yeah, man. I just the big thing for me was G. Scott. I was just happy to see him. Have a good day, man. I hope he lands somewhere and find some success. Selfless player. He's going to be successful no matter what he does. Guy who found his faith in college, and just a lot of good positive things that are going his way. But I hope he lands on a roster and hope he sticks around for a while, man, because that's a guy you want to root for.
So speaking of finding faith, obviously, we've talked about the faith side of this OSU life. Travion Henderson has actually added a cross to his signature.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So just thought that, you gave me the intro there.
Yeah.
I think we were going to do a Mount Rushmore tonight. But I think I want to pivot because given the recent successes of our YouTube videos, we've got some new viewers who I don't think know our background, i.e. the guy in the comments who thought we were Maryland fans discussing Ohio State recruiting. You were wearing the Harding hat, had the M, or actually might have been one of Barry's hats. I can't remember which video.
Oh, okay.
But the guy thought that we were Maryland people. For our new viewers, because we'll be transparent. Viewership has skyrocketed lately. Our guy Carson's doing the damn thing.
Yeah.
We are definitely Ohio State fans. Look over my shoulders.
Yeah.
So just wanted to throw that out in lieu of a Mount Rushmore. So if you don't know what Mount Rushmores are, we throw a topic out there. We each give you our top 4. So if you make it to this point in this video, throw us out some possible topics. Because I made Slate laugh out loud with the one we were going to do today.
Yeah.
So just wanted to throw that out there, like I said, as almost like a reintroduction.
Yeah, Maryland fans. That's okay. It's all right. No disrespect to the Terps.
Nah, go Terps. I mean, they're putting together a class, man. I mean, we can talk about the Terps if somebody would like us to. But
no disrespect.
No, not at all. But I think that's all we've got for this week.
Yeah, that's all I got, man.
We've said it the last 2 weeks that if anything happens, we will drop a recruiting chips or a midweek episode. So I fully anticipate something to happen this week since we've said it. Good luck to everybody going back to school, including you off spring break. Everybody have a great week. Stay safe out there. I mean, nobody's going to see this till in the morning, but it's pretty wicked out there.
Yeah, it is.
But with that said, shout out to Chris at the barn, Jake at Cornerstone, and we will see you guys midweek or next week.